Hi Ultimate Gardeners, welcome back to the Ultimate Gardening channel. My name is Emmanuel, well known to be the Ultimate Gardener. Come join me in becoming an Ultimate Gardener day by day. So in today's exciting sprouting video, I have invited 4 gardeners to this video in which they'll be discussing about their biggest win for the year 2022. I know it's the second month of 2023, but I still wanted to discuss about the biggest win for last year. Multiple gardeners were welcomed into this industry, which means a whole bunch of methods were introduced, which means all different gardeners are going to have different successes in different areas. So I wanted to discuss with you guys about my biggest win, and then we'll be going ahead and running through their biggest win for last year. So make sure to stick around. So my biggest win for the year 2022 has to be cabbage. Cabbage is always the crop I have to grow in my garden year after year because it fascinates me to see how this small little plant develops to this huge, beautiful crop to grow. And so I am still growing cabbage in my garden, and I was able to harvest cabbage towards the end of the year and even moving into the first week of this year. I've been non-stop posting videos and photos on me harvesting these cabbages because I am super proud to say that I grew these cabbages from my own backyard without any type of hard work or hard labor into it. The few little things I did to keep them alive was I gave them direct sun, 6 to 7 plus hours of direct sunlight. I stayed on top of fertilizing every 2 months with a liquid fertilizer, and I always stayed vigilant and sprayed when necessary when pests and diseases decided to come and attack my cabbages. Thank the Lord, pests and diseases wasn't a huge deal for me, but fertilizing and keeping on top of water and proper daylight situations definitely were something I had to fidget, but at the end, everything came out perfect. So my biggest win has to be cabbage.
Hello everybody, my name is Elise with the Urban Harvest, and Emmanuel asked me to share one of my wins, or one of my biggest gardening wins for 2022, and I am most excited about finally upgrading my raised bed gardens. I've been working in some really shallow metal raised beds for quite some time since I've been here at this house, and I finally took the leap and upgraded to these beautiful beds. And the soil depth has been awesome. The configuration just looks really beautiful, and I'm totally in love with it. And the plants have been super happy. We've got loads and loads of compost in here. We've got some, put in some beautiful trellises, and just everything has been thriving in these beds. And it's just one of those things, like every time I look out the window, it kind of puts a smile on my face. So I think it really upgraded my gardening space. It did give me a little bit extra square footage of growing space, which is awesome. And it's just really, I think, taken my garden to that next level, especially from the aesthetics standpoint. So that is definitely what I've considered to be my biggest win or upgrade in my garden this past year. I've definitely been able to meet a lot of my needs for self-sufficiency within my super tiny 5,600 square foot lot. So, being able to add a little bit more growing space gives me that much more opportunity to meet some of our needs. I'm shooting for tomatoes this year. I've been self-sufficient in leafy greens and herbs and bananas and a lot of other random miscellaneous veggies. But with the added growing space, we're hoping this year to meet most of our tomato needs as well. So modern homesteading, urban homesteading at its finest. Thanks, Emmanuel, for putting this video together, and I hope you all have a beautiful day.
So the biggest win for us here in 2022 was interplanting and high density planting. Basically the idea of trying to grow as much food as possible in the smallest amount of space possible you have. And also what we've been doing in 2022 is experimenting a lot, using different soils and different fertilizers, and just trying new things in general, like growing in pots, some things we've never done before, and a lot more other things as well. Example, this plant over here, I added scraps in the bottom of the pot as a fertilizer, and it seems to be growing very well. Another thing basically I also like trying in 2022 was multi-sowing. It works very well for spring onions and onions, as you can see here. So another thing we've been focusing to in 2022 was making our own compost and also our own fertilizers. For example, we took a bunch of weeds from our garden and placed them in a bucket of water and left it for about 6 weeks. And after the 6 weeks, you have a very good, nice bucket of fertilizer, rich fertilizer, which we then watered our plants with. So also in 2022, we've been focusing on making a lot of compost, homemade compost, because number one, it's free, and who doesn't like free? Because I do. And the second reason is because homemade compost just has a lot more life in it compared to bag soil. At least that's what we've experienced, because when we bought bag soil, there was often like nearly no worms in it, and it was like very dry. It dried out very easily. So that's why we're using mainly homemade compost and making it. And plus, you need to get rid of all this material anyway, weeds and plant clippings, dead flowers, you name it. So it's a win-win basically. So that's what we're also going to be focusing to do more this year, 2023, is composting.
Sometimes the biggest gardening win doesn't even happen in the garden. In 2022, I had a fantastic year growing peppers, specifically hot chili peppers. My plants were big and beautiful and healthy and gave me one of the biggest harvests of hot chili peppers that I've ever had in my garden. I began the season by choosing specific hot pepper varieties with the intent of making pepper sauce at the end of the season. I started the seeds indoors, grew the seedlings, took care of them, transplanted them out into my garden, protected them from pests and weather, and enabled them to grow in a bed that I had spent a lot of time developing a good, healthy soil in. And the plants rewarded me with fantastic peppers. And then I brought those peppers indoors to make myself a hot sauce. But not any hot sauce. I wanted to make a fermented pepper sauce. So I took those peppers, put them in a brine, and fermented them over the course of almost 2 months. So now think about how long this process has taken. I started the pepper seeds about 3 months before I put them outside. And then they were growing in my garden for a little more than 3 months, and then I was fermenting for another 2 months, not knowing if it was going to work. And it did. It worked beautifully. I have a red pepper sauce made with Anaheim and cayenne and red jalapeno peppers. I have a green sauce made with hot green jalapenos. And then I have a yellow sauce, as I call it. This is the brine from the fermentation. It's a little bit salty, it's a little bit hot, and it's incredibly tasty. So my biggest win of 2022 wasn't just growing the peppers, but it was making a hot sauce that is delicious and well worth all the months and all the effort to reach this point.
Hi Emmanuel and Ultimate Gardeners, it's Shirley Bofshaw, also known as the Foodie Gardener and Eden Maker. If you don't know of my work, I'm a professional landscape designer as well as horticulturalist, and I have this beautiful community garden where I grow food and give to the community for those who want organic food and may not be able to afford it. So, you're asking me, Emmanuel, what was my win for 2022? I have quite a few of them. One of the things that you can't really see is that we seeded last fall, winter with a cover crop. And it's something that we don't do that often, but you know what? We're gonna do it all the time now. So when we seeded with our cover crop, we were able to turn it in late winter and spring. And I can tell you that all of our crops benefited from the extra nutrients that came from the clover. So as you can see here, it's almost spring again, and we've got our second crop of root vegetables growing right now. We harvest almost every week, whether it's an herb or a vegetable or flowers, and we give to the community. So this is my community garden. We call it the Foodie Gardener Community Garden. And let me tell you, if you haven't tried cover crops to improve your soil, for the tilth, the beautiful aeration, the natural nutrients that it imparts, you got to try it. Anyway, I hope that you are all doing well. Nice to meet you. And Emmanuel, keep doing the great job that you're doing. I'm so proud of you. I've never known of a young person like you who is so passionate about gardening, and you're reaching so many people. God bless you, and everyone have a beautiful growing season this year. I hope you'll come and visit me and get to know my work at Shirley Bobshaw and at Foodie Gardener. Have a great day.